Have you ever found yourself sitting alone, wondering, why don't my children respect me the way they used to? Why do I feel ignored in my own family? It's a painful thought, one that can shake even the strongest of us to our core. You've spent your life giving everything to your children, your time, your love, your sacrifices. But now it might feel like they don't see you, don't value you, or worse, they're too busy to even notice. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Millions of parents face this silent heartbreak as they grow older. Studies show that feelings of neglect or disrespect from loved ones can deeply affect not just your emotional health, but also your physical well-being. Loneliness and stress can take a toll on your heart, your sleep, and even your immune system. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to be this way. What if I told you there's a way to regain your inner peace, strengthen your confidence, and possibly even rebuild the respect and connection with your children? Yes, it's possible. And in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how to do that, without conflict, without guilt, and without losing your sense of self. So, stay with me until the end, because every step I share today could be the key to turning things around for you. And trust me, you deserve to feel respected, valued, and loved. Let's walk this journey together. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Let's face it, one of the most heart-wrenching feelings as you grow older is realizing that the respect or attention you once received from your children seems to have faded. It's not just about the missed phone calls or the lack of thank yous. It's the quiet moments of feeling invisible, unappreciated, or dismissed in your own family. Maybe you've heard phrases like, "I'm busy, Mom, I'll call you later," or, "Dad, you don't understand how things work these days." At first you might shrug it off, but over time these words cut deeper, don't they? Picture this. It's a family gathering. You're sitting in the living room, eager to share a story or offer advice. But before you can finish a sentence, someone interrupts or changes the subject. They're laughing, talking, engaging, but not with you. You smile politely, but inside you feel like a guest in your own family. Or maybe you've noticed a shift in how decisions are made. Where once your input was valued, now it feels like your opinions are brushed aside. Even simple things like your favorite family traditions seem to be fading away, replaced by new habits that don't include you. Does any of this sound familiar? Why this hurts so much? It's natural to feel a sense of loss when respect seems to dwindle. After all, you've spent decades nurturing your children, teaching them values, and building a foundation of love. So, when that bond feels strained, it's not just disappointing, it's devastating, and it's not just about your emotions. This kind of neglect or lack of respect can have real consequences on your overall well-being. Mental health impact. You might feel a growing sense of loneliness even when surrounded by family. It can lead to self-doubt, anxiety, or even depression. The question, "What did I do wrong?" plays on repeat in your mind. Emotional health impact. The absence of appreciation or validation can leave you feeling unworthy, frustrated, or angry. You may notice yourself withdrawing from conversations or avoiding family gatherings altogether. Physical health impact. Research shows that prolonged stress or feelings of rejection can weaken your immune system, increase blood pressure, and affect your sleep patterns. It's a ripple effect that impacts every part of your life. Why does this happen? Now you might be wondering, what changed? Why is this happening? Sometimes the issue isn't about you at all. Life has a way of getting busy. Your children may be juggling careers, relationships, or their own kids. They may not even realize how their actions or lack of actions are affecting you. In other cases, societal changes play a role. Modern values often prioritize independence and self-reliance, which can sometimes lead younger generations to unintentionally overlook the wisdom and experience of their elders. But let's be honest, there are times when unresolved conflicts or misunderstandings from the past can also contribute. Words that were left unsaid, feelings that were hurt, or expectations that weren't met can linger in the background, creating a quiet wall between you and your children. Take a moment to reflect on your own situation. Have you ever felt like your efforts as a parent are taken for granted? Do you feel like your family only reaches out when they need something, rather than to check in on you? Are there moments when you've wondered if you're asking for too much, or maybe not enough? If any of these questions strike a chord, it's important to remember, you are not alone. And more importantly, this situation is not permanent. Why it's important to address this. The good news is that this doesn't have to define your relationships or your happiness. The way forward isn't about blaming yourself or your children. It's about finding a new approach, a way to restore your inner peace, rebuild connections, and ensure that you're treated with the respect you deserve. In the next section, we'll dive into the deeper reasons behind these dynamics and how you can begin to shift them in your favor. Remember, change is possible. It starts with understanding, followed by action. So don't lose hope. We're in this together. Let's take a step back and understand why this happens. Why do relationships between parents and children sometimes grow distant over time? And why does respect, something so fundamental, seem to waver as families evolve? The answers lie in psychology, societal shifts, and even biology. But here's the thing. Once you understand these factors, you can use that knowledge to rebuild stronger, more meaningful connections. The psychology of changing family dynamics, point number 1. Role, reversal, and independence. As children grow up, their roles in life change. During childhood, they depend on their parents for everything: food, guidance, and emotional support. But as they become adults, they develop their own independence. Psychologists call this the differentiation of self. It's a natural and necessary process where children separate from their parents to build their own identity. But in this shift, they can sometimes lose sight of the value of their parents' wisdom and contributions. Instead of seeing you as a guide or a mentor, they might subconsciously begin to see you as old-fashioned or out of touch. This doesn't mean they don't care. It's just that their focus shifts to their careers, their partners, and their children. Unfortunately, this focus often leaves less time and attention for you. Point number 2. The impact of modern culture. Think about how society has changed over the last few decades. Today, speed, efficiency, and individualism dominate. We're living in a fast-paced world where the value of tradition and family bonds can sometimes take a back seat to personal goals and ambitions. A study conducted by the Pew Research Center found that younger generations prioritize career success and personal fulfillment over family obligations. This cultural shift often leaves parents feeling sidelined or forgotten. Not intentionally, but as a byproduct of changing values. Point number 3. Communication breakdown. Another factor is the way communication changes over time. As children grow older, their conversations with parents can become less frequent and more transactional. You might hear from them only when they need something, advice, financial help, or assistance with their own kids. Why does this happen? Experts suggest that when relationships lack regular, meaningful communication, they start to weaken. Over time, small misunderstandings or unresolved tensions can build up, creating emotional distance without anyone realizing it. What happens in the brain? When you feel ignored or disrespected, it triggers a stress response in your body. Your brain releases cortisol, the stress hormone, which prepares you to handle conflict. But when this stress becomes chronic, when feelings of rejection or neglect linger, it starts to impact your health. Dr. Stephanie Brown, a social neuroscientist, explains that social rejection activates the same parts of the brain as physical pain. In other words, feeling ignored by your children can hurt just as much as a physical injury. Here's another layer to consider. Sometimes when you feel disrespected, it's natural to respond with frustrations or withdrawal. You might stop reaching out as much or express your hurt in ways that come across as criticism. Unfortunately, this can create a feedback loop. You feel ignored, so you pull back or react emotionally. Your children sense tension but don't know how to address it, so they avoid deeper conversations. The distance grows, leaving both sides feeling misunderstood. This cycle is common, but the good news is that it can be broken. Building empathy, seeing both perspectives. To truly understand why this happens, it helps to look at the situation from both sides. From your perspective, you've spent years making sacrifices for your children. You've been their safety net, their cheerleader, and their guide. It's only natural to expect respect and acknowledgement in return. When that doesn't happen, it feels like a betrayal of the bond you worked so hard to build. From their perspective, your children may not even realize how their actions or inactions are affecting you. They might assume you're doing fine or feel unsure about how to connect with you as they navigate their own busy lives. In some cases, they might feel burdened by their own challenges, stress at work, financial pressures, or raising their own families, and unintentionally take their frustration out on you by being dismissive or short-tempered. The role of generational differences. Another factor at play is the generational gap. Each generation grows up with its own set of values, priorities, and ways of communicating. For instance, you might value face-to-face conversations, while your children prefer quick text messages or calls when convenient. You might prioritize family traditions, while they focus more on flexibility and innovation. These differences aren't inherently bad, but when they aren't acknowledged, they can lead to misunderstandings and feelings of disconnection. A garden that needs tending. Think of your relationship with your children as a garden. When they were young, you watered that garden every day, providing love, care, and support. Over time, as they grew, you may have stepped back, trusting them to take care of their part of the garden. But here's the thing, even the most beautiful gardens need attention. If the soil isn't nurtured and the weeds aren't removed, the garden starts to wither. The same goes for relationships. Both sides need to invest time and care to keep the connection strong. The hopeful truth. Here's what's important to remember. This isn't about blame. Your children's actions or lack of actions don't define your worth, and their behavior isn't set in stone. In fact, research from family therapists shows that even strained relationships can be repaired with the right approach. When parents take proactive steps to address these challenges, it often inspires their children to respond in kind. In the next section, we'll explore exactly how you can do that, how to regain your confidence, improve communication, and foster a relationship built on mutual respect and understanding. So, if you've ever wondered, is it too late to make things better? The answer is a resounding no. The first step is understanding, and now you're already on your way. Stay with me, we're just getting started. Now that we've explored why these feelings of neglect or disrespect happen, let's talk about how to address them. Remember, the goal isn't to force respect or demand attention. It's to foster genuine connection, rebuild trust, and take control of your own happiness. Here are 5 actionable steps you can start implementing today. Point number 1, focus on self-respect. First, one of the most powerful ways to regain respect from others is to respect yourself first. When you value your own time, emotions, and well-being, others are more likely to follow suit. How to apply this? Set boundaries. For example, if your children often call you only to vent or ask for favors without acknowledging your feelings, gently redirect the conversation. You can say something like, "I'm happy to listen, but can we also talk about how I'm feeling today?" Prioritize self-care. This might mean picking up a new hobby, exercising, or spending time with friends who uplift you. When your children see you living a fulfilled and independent life, they'll naturally view you in a more respectful light. When you set an example of valuing yourself, it shifts the dynamic in your relationships. Your children will begin to see you not just as mom or dad, but as a strong, confident individual. This can inspire them to show you more respect and consideration. Boosts your self-esteem. Reduces feelings of dependency on others for validation. Sets a positive example for your children and grandchildren. Point number 2, practice active communication. Respect and connection often break down because of poor communication. To rebuild those bridges, you need to take the lead in fostering open, meaningful conversations. How to apply this? Start by listening. Instead of focusing on what your children aren't doing, try to understand their perspective. Ask open-ended questions like, "How have you been feeling lately?" Or, "Is there anything you've been struggling with?" Share your feelings in a calm, constructive way. For example, you might say, "I've been feeling a bit disconnected from you lately. I'd love to spend more time together. What do you think?" When you approach conversations with empathy and a willingness to listen, it creates a safe space for your children to open up. Over time, this can lead to deeper connections and mutual respect, strengthens emotional bonds, reduces misunderstandings and tension, encourages your children to value your opinions and feelings. Point number 3, lead with kindness, not criticism. It's natural to feel hurt or frustrated when you feel ignored, but reacting with criticism or anger often pushes people further away. Instead, try leading with kindness and understanding. How to apply this? Instead of saying, "You never call me anymore," reframe it as, "I really enjoy our conversations and I miss hearing from you. Could we schedule a regular time to chat?" Celebrate small efforts. If your child reaches out or shows thoughtfulness, acknowledge it with gratitude. For instance, say, "It meant so much to me when you checked in last week. Thank you." Kindness and appreciation are contagious. When your children feel valued and not judged, they're more likely to reciprocate that positivity. This can gradually rebuild a culture of respect and care. reduces tension and conflict, encourages positive behavior from your children, creates a more harmonious family dynamic. Point number 4, find new ways to stay connected. Sometimes the distance between parents and children is simply a result of life getting in the way. Finding creative ways to stay connected can help bridge that gap. How to apply this? Embrace technology. If your children are tech savvy, use tools like video calls, group chats, or social media to stay in touch. For example, you can send them a funny meme or a quick message like, "This reminded me of you, thought you'd like it." Suggest activities you can do together, either in person or virtually. For instance, you could cook the same recipe while on a video call or watch a favorite movie at the same time. When you make an effort to connect in ways that align with their lifestyle, it shows that you're adaptable and interested in their world. This can encourage them to include you more often in their lives, keeps communication lines open, helps you stay involved in their lives without being overbearing, strengthens your bond over shared experiences. Point number 5, let go of guilt and resentment. Holding on to feelings of guilt or resentment can weigh heavily on your relationships. Letting go doesn't mean ignoring the past. It means choosing to focus on the present and the future. How to apply this? Reflect on what you can control. Instead of dwelling on past mistakes or unmet expectations, focus on what you can do now to improve your relationships. Practice forgiveness. This might mean forgiving your children for their shortcomings, or forgiving yourself for any regrets you carry. Journaling or speaking with a therapist can help with this process. When you release negative emotions, you free yourself to approach your relationships with a fresh perspective. This can create space for healing and growth, reduces stress and emotional burden, opens the door for more positive interactions, helps you feel more at peace with yourself and your family. Bringing it all together. Let's revisit that analogy of a garden. Each of these steps focusing on self-respect, practicing active communication, leading with kindness, finding new ways to connect, and letting go of resentment, is like adding water, sunlight, and care to that garden. You might not see results overnight, but with consistent effort, you'll begin to notice small changes. A phone call just to check in. A heartfelt thank you for your advice. More laughter and ease during family gatherings. These moments are the blossoms of your efforts, and they can grow into a stronger, more respectful relationship with time. Remember, change doesn't have to start with your children. It starts with you. By taking these steps, you're not just improving your relationships. You're reclaiming your own happiness and peace of mind. And that, more than anything, is what you truly deserve. So, take that first step today. Which of these tips will you try? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. When it comes to strained relationships with adult children, there are many misconceptions that can leave you feeling confused or even hopeless. Let's clear the air by addressing some of the most common myths about this topic and replacing them with facts and practical perspectives. Myth number 1. If my children ignore me, they don't love me. Feeling ignored can undoubtedly hurt, but it doesn't necessarily mean your children don't love you. Often their behavior is a reflection of their own challenges, not their feelings for you. According to Dr. Joshua Coleman, a psychologist and author specializing in family relationships, adult children might become distant due to stress, unresolved childhood dynamics, or their own busy lives. These factors can make it seem like they don't care, but in most cases the love is still there. It's just buried under layers of distraction or emotional struggles. Imagine your child juggling a demanding job, raising their own family, and managing financial pressures. They might not have the mental bandwidth to nurture every relationship in their life, including the one they have with you. It doesn't excuse the behavior, but it helps to understand that their distance is often circumstantial rather than personal. Instead of assuming a lack of love, focus on rekindling the connection through small, consistent efforts. Love doesn't disappear, it just sometimes gets lost in the noise of life. Myth number 2. Good parents never have problems with their children. There's no such thing as a perfect parent-child relationship. Even the most loving and dedicated parents can experience conflict or disconnection with their children. Family dynamics are complex, influenced by personality differences, generational values, and life circumstances. Parenting is not a one-size-fits-all process, and even the best intentions don't guarantee a smooth relationship. Research published in the Journal of Family Psychology highlights that parent-child conflict is a natural part of evolving relationships, particularly as children grow into adulthood and assert their independence. Think about famous figures or families you know who seem picture perfect but have their own struggles behind the scenes. Challenges are not a reflection of your parenting skills, they're a part of being human. Having problems with your children doesn't mean you've failed as a parent. What matters most is how you approach those challenges and work toward solutions. Myth number 3. It's too late to fix the relationship. It's never too late to improve your relationship with your children. Healing takes time, but with patience and effort, even deeply strained relationships can be repaired. Family therapists often emphasize that reconciliation is a process, not a one-time event. By taking small, consistent steps, like open communication, forgiveness, and understanding, you can create a foundation for rebuilding trust and closeness. Consider stories of estranged parents and children who reconnect after years apart. These stories prove that with the right mindset and actions, relationships can transform at any stage of life. Time doesn't erase the bond you share with your children. Start where you are and focus on progress rather than perfection. Myth number 4. If they don't respect me now, they never will. Respect is not a fixed trait, it's something that can grow and evolve over time. While you can't demand respect, you can inspire it through your actions and mindset. Respect is often linked to how we perceive others. When your children see you as confident, independent, and understanding, it can shift their perspective and lead to a deeper appreciation for you. Psychologist Dr. Carl Rogers famously said, "When someone truly hears you without judgment, it feels damn good." By creating an environment of respect and empathy, you set the stage for mutual respect to flourish. A parent who focuses on self-growth, pursues their own interests, and communicates with warmth and honesty can inspire their children to view them in a new light. Respect isn't static. It can be nurtured by focusing on the relationship itself rather than past grievances. Myth number 5. I have to fix everything myself. While you play a key role in your relationships, you don't have to carry the entire burden. Healthy relationships are a two-way street, and your children also share responsibility for making things better. Experts agree that while parents can take the first step, it's important to set boundaries and ensure that the relationship remains balanced. This means letting your children know what you need from them, rather than trying to shoulder everything on your own. You might say, "I've been making an effort to improve our relationship, but I'd love to hear what you think we can do together to make it even better." You're not alone in this journey. By involving your children in the process, you're fostering collaboration and accountability. These myths often create unnecessary guilt, frustration, or a sense of helplessness. But now that you've uncovered the truth, you can approach your relationships with greater clarity and confidence. Remember, the path to stronger connections starts with understanding, both of your children and yourself. By letting go of these misconceptions, you're already taking a powerful step toward creating the loving, respectful relationships you deserve. Up next, we'll wrap things up with an emotional and inspiring, close to leave you feeling empowered and hopeful for the future. Stay with me. There's so much more to look forward to. As we come to the end of this conversation, I want you to take a moment to reflect on one powerful truth. Relationships can be mended, respect can be rebuilt, and happiness is always within your reach. The path might not always be easy, but each step forward is a step toward healing and connection. Let me share a quick story to leave you inspired. Imagine a mother named Mira. In her mid-60s, she felt deeply hurt because her son Ravi rarely called or visited. She often blamed herself and silently resented him. But one day, Mira decided to shift her focus. She started volunteering at a community center, which brought her joy and new friendships. At the same time, Mira reached out to Ravi, not with criticism, but with kindness. She sent him a heartfelt message saying, "I miss hearing your voice. I'd love to catch up whenever you're free." It wasn't immediate, but over time, Ravi began to notice the changes in his mother. Her newfound confidence, positivity, and patience encouraged him to reconnect. Slowly, their relationship began to heal. This is the power of small, intentional actions. Like Mira, you too can take steps toward a brighter, more fulfilling future. Respect starts with you. When you value yourself, others naturally follow suit. Open communication can break down walls of misunderstanding and rebuild trust. Kindness and patience create the foundation for meaningful change. Connection evolves. It's never too late to strengthen your bond with your children. You don't have to do everything perfectly. You just need to begin. Whether it's a small gesture, a kind word, or focusing on your own joy, every effort you make is a seed planted for the future. So imagine this. A year from now, your relationships look different. Your children respect and value you. You feel a renewed sense of purpose, independence, and peace. This isn't just wishful thinking, it's possible, and it starts with the choices you make today. Thank you for spending this time with me. Remember, your journey matters, and so do you. If this message resonates with you, share it with someone who needs it, and let's spread the hope together. You've got this. Thank you so much for joining me today. If this video spoke to you, I encourage you to take a moment to reflect on what we've discussed. Remember, you're not alone on this journey, and there are practical steps you can take to strengthen your relationships and rediscover joy in your life. If you found these tips helpful, please give this video a thumbs up to let me know. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more content designed to inspire, empower, and support you every step of the way. I'd also love to hear from you. What's one action you're ready to take today to improve your relationships or focus on your well-being? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. I read every single one, and your story could inspire someone else. Lastly, if you know someone who might benefit from this video, please share it with them. Together, we can create a community of support and positivity. Thank you for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.